Hello Tiger fans, I'm Nathan Brown and welcome to the first edition of the Raw Review. Every week I'll have a Tiger play with me to talk about the ins and outs, what happened on the weekend. And first up, round one, Daniel Jackson. Jacko, after round one, how are you feeling?
Mate, it seems like a long time ago now, last Thursday night, but look, it was a frustrating game. It was exciting because we've showed that we've come a long way over the summer, but I, as a senior player, thought we definitely could have won that game. So there's a few things we'll be tinkering with, but all in all, it was a step in the right direction.
How exciting is it to play in front of a packed house at the MCG in round one? Obviously against the old rival Carlton. Didn't quite get the points, but it must be a great atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've been out there before. I've never played finals in my last 8 years, and I think we've had 60, 70 and 80,000 the last few times we've played them in round one. I guess for me at the moment, that's as close as it's come to finals atmosphere, but it's one of my favourite games of the year. I know all the boys try and get themselves up for it, and those who missed out are always utterly disappointed.
You didn't get the result as planned, but 4 or 5 goals down at one stage, it looks like it could have been blown out of the water. You got yourself back in the game, a couple of goals up. You must have been very happy to claw your way back.
Yeah, that third quarter was super exciting. That's why I suppose it's a little bit frustrating that we can play for those little patches, really control the game and then let the other parts go. I think the telling tale in the end was that last quarter. Both teams were really tired. They probably had they did have the more senior bodies, done a few more pre-seasons and were able to push themselves a little bit harder at the clinches, win a few more crucial contests. But saying that, we had our opportunities in the first few minutes of that last quarter. Shane Edwards nearly kicked a goal, and 20 points is a lot more than 14 points. So, as I said, it was frustrating for that reason, but in the end, it is a step in the right direction.
And you yourself had a big start to the year. There's no bigger start than tagging probably the number one player in the game, Chris Judd. But I thought you held your own. You kicked a goal on him as well. And at the end of the day, it was probably, I reckon, a break-even contest. Yeah,
it was a hard one. I was only on him. I tried to tag him when I was out there, but we were setting up our own structures around the ball. We have a strong midfield. We didn't perform well enough in the first half, which enabled their guys like Judd and Murphy to get a bit too much of it. But when I was out there, I always enjoyed playing on the best. It was 2 goals I got on him in the end, but he still had a good game himself. So it would have been nice to actually lock down the entire game. But it's very hard to do these days with all the rotations. You just end up getting mismatched throughout the night.
Richmond coach Damien Hardwick had a fair bit to say after the performance, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, listen, we didn't walk away with 4 points. It was probably the most disappointing thing. I thought we fought our backsides off to get back in the game, and then obviously hit the front three-quarter time. But listen, I think that the general footy public will look at our side and say, geez, they competed well. Like the young blokes we brought in, Batchelor, Conca, Helbig, all showed something. Cochin from his first quarter where he didn't touch it, then to come back in at 25, I think by the end of the game was a good sign, because he's going to be an elite player of the competition. He's going to get tagged, so he has to fight through it. So, look, there's some promising signs. We've still got a fair way to go. Obviously, they're a top 4 to 6 side, so at least we show we can compete with the big boys when we get our game up and going. You've got to remember that Trent's I think 21 and Brett's obviously a lot more mature in that area, but we expect better from both those players. They're some of our top players, so look, they'll get better for the run, they'll improve, they'll learn something out of the game, which is the most important thing, and they'll take that into next week versus St Kilda. And the great thing for us is those 2 guys are down early, but then actually I think both fought their way back into the game at some stage. It's quite easy that they pack up and go home like at half time, but I thought it was great the way they fought back.
Jacko, the Tigers fielded 10 new players from last year's round one side that got beaten by 59 points. That must be very encouraging. There's so many new players coming through.
Yeah, it's very exciting for us. We really enjoy having them around. The guys that have been drafted the last 2 years are just of real sound character. They're great guys. They train really hard. They never miss a beat. I suppose for the fans, equally exciting to come out there and see new faces performing well. Some a little bit older, Sean Grigg and Basher Hooley, I thought played really well. They just add an extra level to that middle age bracket, and then the young guys, they're going to be superstars in their own right. Dustin Martin played well. Rhys Conca showed some good signs early. Jake Batchelor got a bit of it. He's an exciting young player. He just trains hard, tries hard. I think he'll probably play quite a few games this year. And then my favourite is Brad Helbig, because he just goes in hard, which is it always excites me.
What I thought was a good sign, you had Chris Newman's engagement party Saturday night, and just about every player was there, and all the coaching staff too. So it's a real camaraderie down there at the club at the moment, that everybody gets together and has a good time together.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. And we've moved into the lovely new facilities, the ME Centre here at Punt Road, and that's just been fantastic. It just makes you want to hang around the footy club. There's no more possums floating around during the day. The showers actually work. There's a nice big gym with all the equipment, with the ice bars for recovery. So the boys never want to leave, and we, like I said before, they're all of good character and really enjoy each other's company, even on a Friday night for an engagement.
I must admit, the ME Bank Centre does look fantastic. I've just had a personal tour from Jacko here, and the ice baths is something that I don't miss as a player. But they've got the first-class facilities, and it must feel good to walk into a new club every day you come. Yeah,
like I said, it's just exciting. It makes you want to be here. So in the past, I might go and seek an alternate gym to go do some weights just to change it up a little bit. Now I want to be in here now using the new stuff, and there's players' rooms and lots of rooms for meetings, and we've got the Indigenous Centre, which is going to be up and running later in the year. So yeah, once they get that ground fixed up as well and no more cricket on there, it'll be the perfect home base.
Well, like we said, Jacko, there was a couple of three debutants out there, but also Basher Hooley and Sean Grigg. How did you see the 5 new players at the footy club?
Yeah, it was good to bring in. I was glad last year that they brought in 2 more senior new players just to add to our very inexperienced list. Very talented, but it does lack age and experience. I think I'm the 6th oldest, and I'm still 24, clinging for another few more weeks. But Sean Grigg's been a massive. Given a massive lift to our midfield group. He's probably a similar build to myself and plays a similar role. So we have a lot of attacking midfielders, and now we've got a bit more balance on the defensive side. And then Basher Hooley, really classy outside player, which is something we've lacked for the last little while. They both played pretty well on the weekend, and I think they're going to really add something throughout the year, just especially with that experience.
We caught up with Richmond's #1 draft pick from last year, Rhys Conca, who played his first game on the weekend. Here's what he had to say.
Rhys, thanks for joining us on Raw Vision here after your first game for Richmond. How'd the body pull up after last night's game?
Yeah, not too bad. I started cramping a tiny bit towards the end of the 4th quarter. So, yeah, calves are a little bit sore, but otherwise, yeah, pulled up quite well compared to like NAB Cup games. It was a lot quicker, so took a bit more of a toll on the body.
And overall, how did you find your first game, the experience of being out there?
Yeah, it was great. It sort of went pretty quick. But you look back on it, it was all big hype up, pretty excited, and they took a few seconds before the game, just sort of taking the crowd, and but yeah, it was a great experience. Probably, definitely one that I'll remember for a very long time. And
how would you rate your own first up performance?
I thought I pretty good. Shanked a few kicks early on, which sort of put me in my shell a little bit, but then sort of as the game went on, sort of eased into it and sort of got better as time went on. So, yeah, really happy with how I went first up and sort of just hope to improve from there.
There were some encouraging signs as the young players, like you said, but also the performances of Jack Rewalt was outstanding, and Chris Newman as a skipper off half-back, I thought he dominated play when you're under the pump in that first half particularly.
Yeah, look, Jack has started the year off well. I know there were reports that we didn't want him kicking 80 or 90 goals. We still want him kicking 80 or 90 goals. We just want other blokes to pull their weight as well and kick a few more. And the skipper is just steadfast. That's why he's our captain, and you've played with him before. He just does everything right, and he never dies wondering. That's why we love him.
Well, I liken Jack Rewalt to a young Wayne Carey when he first started, the way he loses his opponents on the Sunday footy show on Sunday. So, Jack, don't get a big head, because I know your head's quite big already, but you are playing some pretty good footy, and it's very exciting to see.
The red hair should keep him down to earth. It does for me.
Also coming back this week, you might get the push-up king, Jake King, back. And the only other thing I wanted to ask you was, how did you see the sub-rule? Obviously Nathan Foley going off early and Daniel Connors coming on.
Yeah, it's an interesting rule. As a midfielder, I'm probably not a huge fan of it. It does mean that we get less rest, and in the end I reckon they might lose a few guys later in the year with fatigue kind of injuries. But if it stops injuries in other parts of the game, then maybe that will be a good thing. But I think time will tell, and it'll be interesting to hear players' opinions as the season wears on.
Well, Jacko, thanks for joining us on the first show of Raw Review. The Saints this week, Friday night. Good luck playing against them. It's going to be a great battle. Friday night, Tiger fans, get there. And thanks for joining the Raw Review. And that's Daniel Jackson.